I think what you have to offer is going to be so big because, look, we live in a very rural part of Georgia where that's not really the priority here. And there should be more people like you. And I love that you're doing this. I feel like you're helping, and we're missing that.
Yeah, I don't know how many people I can get to, come and be a part of that. But I
Yeah.
mean, really, honestly, if you can just, help a few people get more in touch with their body and, become healthier human beings, then I
Yeah.
think it benefits.
Yeah.
It
Well, and
benefits the future and the rest of the world. When you're a happier, healthier human, you interact with people in a happier, healthier way. You come at them with a smile, and maybe you brighten their day, and then the next thing they do is brighten the day of the next person, or they even change something. You say something, and they change one little action, and it ripples out into the world. And it's so hard to see that you can't quantify those effects.
right.
You just can't. It's impossible. But the
For
more
sure.
people that are able to live from that space, it will benefit people in other countries because we'll be
Yeah.
making decisions from a place of healthy, open love, really. I mean,
All right. Hi, Jenny. So we're super excited. Hello, hello. We are finally here. We are kicking off the launch pad with Illumify. We're so happy that we have Jenny Haddle with me today. She is one of my neighbors and one of the most inspiring people I've met in a long time. It was strange, Jenny, when I met you. It was you had been a neighbor for a while, and I was just like, hey, let me talk to this person. And all of a sudden, you're telling me about your life history, everything you've gone through, and I'm like, this is going to be the best podcast host. I mean, person ever. Yeah. Now you're the host, Jenny. Take over. Here you go. Woo. And you're so inspiring with everything you've done, and now you've kicked off your new small business. And at Illumify, we're all about supporting our local small businesses. And I just want to thank you for taking the time. And first of all, tell me about the business. Tell me what inspired you to get there. But I definitely want to talk about your history and all that. And how did we get from A to B?
oh man, such a long story, but we'll break it into pieces. So,
I love it.
um, yeah, my business, you know, I've been doing like personal growth work, meditation, yoga since probably I was 18 years old, right? So I started doing that, but just little bits, right? I did yoga for the first time when I was at a gym, just normal yoga at a gym. And then, I don't know, I broke up with a boyfriend, and then I was freaking out and I needed some meditation. So I tried Zen meditation, and I was like, oh, these are interesting
Mm.
things. But then I kind of left them off and then picked him up later on. And it's been a part of my life for quite a long time. And I know we'll get into my international experience and my career that I've just left. But it's just something that has been really important for my growth as a person. So then I thought, well, I'd love to do this for work. This is something that I would love to do. And started looking into yoga teacher certification last year and made the jump into yoga teacher certification. And then thought, well, this is just what I want to do. So originally I was going to start a business. It's going to be a long launch pad. But life doesn't always work that way. And I ended up deciding to start this business, which is called Find Your Fierce Heart. You can see the sign back in the back there, early this year, and just give it a go. So I'm finishing up yoga teacher training now, and the business itself is, let's just say I'm kind of putting it together as I go. I know I want to teach yoga. I know I want to help people to connect to themselves, to their bodies, to grow, to be their best selves. I know that's what I want to do. Exactly what needs are for people and how people want to do that. I'm exploring that and just kind of putting it together. But that's how I
How'd you
got
come up
to
with?
this point.
I was gonna ask you, how'd you come up with the name? I love the name "Find Your Fierce Heart." It's so inspiring, especially with yoga and keeping fit and moving in staying healthy. How did you? Is that from the breakup, Jenny? Did it come from that? Or is it actually from a more? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Well, there were many more breakups after that one. So
There you go.
no, I don't know. It's there's a lot of story behind that, but um, on this journey, I have discovered pieces of myself. And a couple years ago, in one part of that journey, I discovered feeling here in this space in the heart.
Mhm.
And I think we all feel it, when I don't know, maybe when we hold a baby or something, or like something
Correct.
happens. It's very, but then I tapped into it in a way where I could feel it whenever I wanted to feel it. And
Mm.
it felt like heart, and it felt really special. And it also felt like a place of knowing myself and authenticity and fierceness. The fierce part, though, comes from believe that we all have a bit of good and a bit of bad, or a bit of light and a bit of dark. I feel like we all have kind
Right.
of dualistic, personalities. So there's this light aspect and this dark aspect. So I don't know if you can see the logo in the back, but there's a hummingbird and a scorpion.
Right.
And the hummingbird has always been sort of the light aspect of my life. It's been a part of my life since I was a little girl. And scorpions, oddly enough, have also been a part of my life since I was a little girl, because they used to be here in Georgia. We had a farm that we would go to, and we had a mobile home on it. And the scorpions just like lived in the mobile, that we would wake up in the
Right.
morning, they'd be crawling they were terrifying for me when I was a little girl. I was
Right.
like, and I had a dream. It's going to get real woo woo on you here. I had a
I need
dream.
woo woo. Let's lift it up. I love the woo.
I had a dream about a year ago of a scorpion, a red scorpion, a split in half. And in the dream, I put it back together. Now, it wasn't live. It was just like almost like this statue of a scorpion, or I don't really know exactly what it was. But in the dream, I put it back together. And that's when I decided to become a yoga teacher. And for me, it was
Powerful.
symbolic of kind of discovering my shadow side. And so I made the scorpion a symbol of my shadow side. And it feels like a fierce aspect, right? Like you know, that aspect that's willing to fight back or
Hmm.
see what's right and stand up for the thing that is right or just, or it's just an important part of me. And so those things kind of melded together is what made the fierce heart. So find your fierce heart as a way of going through and discovering the different pieces of yourself so that you can open yourself up and be your best self.
No, I love that. I think that's the duality of all of us, right? Where we want to just say we're the greatest or we're the worst, or we beat ourselves up or we lift ourselves out, and we sort of lose track that maybe it's a balance. Maybe it's you're navigating these things that are outside of your control or inside of your control, and you got to learn how to navigate those things. Because if you just lean one side or the other, be it in your personal life, in yoga, in your career, or in anything, it's never a healthy path to just be like, I'm the brightest and happiest, or I'm a tyrant and I'm treating people bad, right? Because it just, yeah, I look at things like my kids. If I sit there and just like, zippity doo all day long, well, they're not going to learn, the how to grow up to defend themselves, or how to deal with abuse or being mistreated by others. So I love that you've kind of incorporated that as part of your brand, and with the name Fierce Heart, the duality of the hummingbird and the scorpion, and then the graphic design. We were talking about this yesterday. What's the name of the company that did the design work? Because they are fantastic as well.
TM Design Incorporated. TM Design.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's like the perfect, like, you want to talk about woo synergy, right? I hate that word, but I'll use it in this. It all kind of melds together nicely, especially with who you are as a person, and I love that about your brand and what you're doing. So let's talk about that, right? Which is, how do we, the Jenny the person, and kind of when I got to know you, you're kind of going through your history of kind of places you've been. You're almost to me like Carmen San Diego, like you've been everywhere around the world and back.
I was a kid, by the way. Loved
Yeah, that
Carmen.
It's like you are avoiding the scorpions and playing Carmen Sandiego at the same time. It's a fantastic journey. But no, it's really inspiring. You know what you've done. Not, and it sounds like an exaggeration, but I won't say for the country, for humanity, for human beings in general. It's just it's a cool journey. So walk me through. You know, you're from Georgia, obviously, and then you went to UGA. I was, you
Did that, went to
got your
UGA.
got your math. Yep, got the
I got
LinkedIn
my
profile
bachelor's
going through it.
I got my bachelor's at UGA. I joined Peace Corps and went to Morocco. And then I
Exactly.
didn't stay there for a full year. I ended up leaving early and I came back. And then I went to University of Florida and got my master's degree.
What
And my
how
focus
did you
was
go
always
from
college.
yeah, how do you go from graduating to Peace Corps? What is it, some group recruited you, or this was inspired by your, love of life and chasing and the humanity side of you? How do you get from point A to point B?
My stepfather gave me a newspaper clip and he said, I think you'd be interested in this. You like traveling, you like going to other countries, and, why don't you check this out? And I did.
But it's such a big leap for, I mean, you're probably what, in your teens, early 20s. That seems like such a huge leap.
Yeah, it was like maybe I was 20 when I joined. 20. No, I would have been 21, 22 when I actually went into Peace Corps. So, I think he may have given me the clip even, I don't remember exactly, but I think he may have given it to me even before I went to college. So it's just something I had been mulling over for a long time. And I didn't know what I was going to do when I got my out of UPA. I didn't know what I was going to do. So I started the process of applying for Peace Corps and I got in. And I wasn't like, my father wasn't happy about it. He didn't want me to travel over. Like, his first reaction was, "Well, you're not going to go to Africa." I was like,
Yeah, yeah, right.
"Okay."
Now you've just inspired me to go to Africa. As soon as somebody says no, forget it. You've given all the rocket fuel on Earth to go.
My parenting advice: if you want kids to do something, then don't tell them not to do the
Correct.
thing.
That's right. Do the complete opposite of that. That's fantastic. So it was your stepfather. He gives you the clippings. Your father is like, "What are you doing?" But you're still, you've got that gravitas to say, "Nope, I am gonna do this." And then your first rodeo is in Morocco. Had you traveled out of the country before that?
When I was in high school, so my best friend in high school was Mexican American. Her parents immigrated here from Mexico, and she was born here. And she invited me to go with her to Mexico one summer, and I traveled with her. That we took the prime time van and we went down to Mexico and hung out in their village, and it was kind of like, I'm not. I think it must have been 16, maybe I was 15, 16 at the time. I don't remember exactly, but that was my first opportunity to be in a place like where there was no electricity, no running
Yeah.
water, and kind of seeing how other people lived in other parts of the world.
Yeah. So you get to Morocco, and is it the same similar situation? I mean, again, this is, I'm embarrassed here, but I don't know much about Morocco. Is it the same situation where it's very third world, or is Morocco, because sometimes you hear things like Mexico City, and if you go to Mexico City, it's not a third world country. It is a fully functioning, metropolis. So is Morocco sort of like that, or is it you go 20 miles one way and it's the things that you see on the Discovery Channel? You're like, what is this?
No, I mean, it is. In fact, actually, I would say most countries, unless they're war zones, have a mix of all of those things. So every country I've been to has thriving metropolises and um, deep rural areas. So Morocco has Casablanca. Uh, where Casablanca is, it has
Hmm.
tons of big, beautiful cities, beautiful beach cities. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of really amazing culture in Morocco.
Hmm.
And there's still, of course, now people that live deep in the mountains who are living the village life. Where I lived kind of on the edge. I lived in a desert, actually a desert village, so right on the edge of the Sahara. There were like sand dunes in my
Hmm.
backyard. It was super cool. When I
More
think back,
scorpions. Back to the scorpion.
like there were, I mean, we had sandstorms that came through where you just had to shut yourself in your house. I remember one sandstorm coming through, and I woke up the next day, and I found like a pile of sand this deep that had like blown underneath the door of my house, home, hut, whatever you want to call it. And it was just, yeah, it was definitely um, a whole nother world. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then what's your actual, what are you doing when you're there? What are you solving or helping out with? Is it just humanitarian, or is it just getting to know the community?
So for Peace Corps, it's kind of, it depends on what your sector is. There's lots of sectors. My sector was environment,
Right.
and it always
Mhm.
was. Also, for my second Peace Corps experience, it was forestry, environment. There's agriculture, education. Most of the people that join Peace Corps are quite young.
Mhm.
So I would say that a lot of it is more diplomacy in a
Yeah.
way. Um, there are older people that join who do a lot of really amazing work, but I would say that uh, it's helping people to understand more about American culture,
Hmm.
what Americans are or not or are not, and then learning more about that culture. It's really, to me, more of a cultural exchange, but definitely some work gets done. It's just small work in communities. So when I was there, um, I did some just environmental education work with the school that was there, um,
Hmm.
and and then yeah, I did a lot of cultural exchange work. Traveled to other Peace Corps volunteers' sites and helped with health work or whatever it was going on.
No, that's amazing. Yeah, and we need that more. I know I don't like getting political on these things, but it feels. I think it's fair to say the world needs that more than ever. I listen to obviously podcasts. I'm inspired by them, and try to hear both sides of every argument. But all I know is today, anyways, it feels like there's a huge global disconnect. If
Mhm.
it's America against the world, or if it's Europe, even with exclude America, European countries are at war. Nobody's taking the time to um, get to know somebody or get to share their culture like that. And it's inspiring that you had the opportunity to do that and you did that. And it's almost like we need that. We got to send you back out there, Jenny, and start saving the world again. Come on. While you're in, finding your fierce heart, save the world, Jenny. You've been tasked with this now.
I do agree with you. I think I it's so interesting because our world is so much more global. We're connected in so many different ways, yet somehow we still don't quite understand the other. And what I have found in my travels is that it looks different on the surface, but underneath, everybody is kind of the same. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, of
it's
course,
true.
everybody's unique, and different, and has different personalities and different culture and everything. But the ultimate needs of a human are all the same, and the ultimate goals are, I just want to take care of my family and make sure that we're healthy and safe. It just all boils down to that. And my aunt was just asking me about this the other day because she saw a TED talk where a woman was talking about the misunderstandings that Americans have of Africans. And I was like, yes, that is true. And also the misunderstandings that Africans have of Americans as well. Because when I lived in
Right.
the village, like they saw me a certain way.
Right.
And I was not exactly that. I was sort of, but I wasn't
Hmm.
exactly,
Yeah.
and like when Black Americans were Peace Corps volunteers in African countries, there was always a little bit of confusion around it. Like, wait a minute, okay,
Right.
this is an American person. Okay, that means that they are this and this and this, but they're a different color, So it works
Yeah.
both ways.
They're trying to box it in, and just like everything in life, it's not a box, right? There's like stuff spilling out. It's fluid. It's moving constantly, and almost back to when we started. I think for me personally, growing up, and this is ridiculous, but so bear with. But to me, everything in Africa was bad, and everything in not Africa, everything was like, it's. It's dangerous. There are lions and murder, and Africa is just big. And yes, there that is a part of it, but there are people there, and it's not just in villages, and it's not extreme. While there is a lot of poverty, you just have this like pre-programmed stereotype of what Africa is, and then you going in there and saying, "Okay, this is me. I'm an American. You're an African. We're not that different. We're maybe in different life situations, but we're here now. I it, we need more of that, right? Which is like a global understanding of kind of, hey, we need to live, laugh, like that, corny thing you put in your kitchen, live, laugh, love. There's going to be fear and tears through this, but I do the same thing. Tell me how, about yours, right? Which is, I think it's cool that you had the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's one of the most special parts of being able to go to another country and get to know people. It's the people. It's the people, really.
Yeah. The people, that crazy concept. Talk to me then. You were in the Peace Corps for a while, and then what happens next? Was it always Morocco? Did you move out to other places?
Yeah. So I ended up leaving Morocco because an incident happened in the market town that I was in where kind of a crazy guy attacked me. And I was young and I kind of freaked out. My parents were like, come home. So I came home. I didn't end up finishing out that service. And it actually worked out because the Iraq war started, not September 11th happened while I was over there as well. So the Iraq war started
Wow.
not long
Yeah.
after I left. And then they ended up evacuating everybody from Morocco anyway. Uh, I came back, went to graduate school. I was in graduate school at University of Florida for a long time, until about 10 years. And then I rejoined Peace Corps, mostly because I was going for a PhD, but I decided that I would prefer, instead of being in kind of like that ivory tower
Right.
academic path, that I would prefer to be in the field and actually working with people and doing more practical stuff. So I just said, I'm going to just join Peace Corps again because it's a quick, easy way out. They'll want me. I don't have any kids. I'm not married right now. And then maybe that will be an inroad into something else, which it did end up becoming. So I went to Zambia, and I was there for 2 years in my normal Peace Corps volunteer status. Lived in a village, just the same, and then I extended for a third year and started interning with Catholic Relief Services, which is a non-governmental organization that does humanitarian and foreign assistance work globally. They also do work in the U.S. as well,
Right.
and were founded by the bishops here in the United States. So it's a full Catholic run organization, and that turned into a full time job. And I worked in
Mhm.
Zambia, Malawi, and Indonesia with Catholic Relief Services until COVID happened. COVID
Right.
happened, and then my job ran out when I was in Indonesia, and I was looking for jobs. Ended up getting a job with Save the Children, which does
Mhm.
similar work as Catholic Relief Services, but their mission is more focused on children and all of the different aspects of uh, the political, social, environmental, whatever, all the different aspects of the environment that affect children's rights. And that job was based here in the U.S. Still supporting global food assistance, food security,
Yeah.
humanitarian projects around the world, um, but based here. And I moved back to the U.S. with my kids. I married a man from Zambia, so I met somebody
Hmm.
while I was there. Got married, and had 3 children. So I got my 3 children, and now we live here.
Yeah.
Uh, that's kind of the whole
Was there
trajectory.
was there any I don't know, this might get weird, so feel free to call me out, but you go to Zambia, you come back, you're married to a black man, and you come back to the United States, and is there any judgment being passed your way, or is it because it's the US, like, this is who we are, we judge everything, or is it, no, we're accepting this is awesome, this is Jenny, how Jenny got from point, from her um, humanitarian endeavors, and this is part of her building her, her own community and her own culture, her own family. Was there any? Did you run into anything? I guess with that.
No, I mean, the only thing maybe is that when I told my dad I was dating somebody in Zambia, he asked if the person was white, and I was like, well,
Okay. No.
I mean, most of the people here are not, so
Right. Right. Right.
no, he's
No, that's
not.
awesome.
But I would say that, um, I mean, let's just put it this way: I understand that things have changed drastically over the last, I mean, really, civil rights didn't happen. It was not that long ago, really, in the grand scheme of
That's like why,
history.
yeah.
And I know that, for my family, it definitely would be like outside of the box to marry
Yeah.
somebody from a different racial background. So
Yeah.
I totally understand that. But he has embraced my husband, and my family has been so kind and loving. And I haven't, maybe I just don't choose not to notice, but I haven't noticed anything that to me that has
That's
been,
awesome.
yeah, concerning.
Yeah.
I feel like things have changed so much and progressed so much that it's much more normal now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird with me and my wife. She's American, white, born in Georgia, like the quintessential Georgia peach, and I'm this like mumbling Hispanic, quick talking. And in the beginning, trying to navigate the way the Miami pace of things and the speed. And, there's you're late to everything because you grew up late to everything. There is a cultural divide that I felt there was a challenge trying to, you know, overcome. Nothing crazy, but enough to where that you have to have these conversations. And it's one of those dynamics. Again, I'm obsessed with families and cultures and how everything blends. And it's interesting to me that through your lens, you don't see that, and that shows me that we're progressing as a world, and that's good. That's healthy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I even in Zambia, it was kind of unusual for an interracial marriage to happen. So, and we got a lot of attention for that as well. But I think just with the globalization and how normal it's becoming at this point, that it's almost just give it 40 or 50 more years, it won't even be a thing we think about. I hope.
It'll be all robots by then, Jenny.
Well,
You
yeah,
and me will be. Yeah, come on. We'll be batteries at that point, Jenny. It's not going to be human beings anymore.
plug right into the
Uh,
matrix.
yeah, right. Just slowly crawling in. Okay, so we do Catholic Relief Fund. How do we get to you then now breaking off and taking a break to harness yourself and focus on yoga? And because I want to get into the business, like, because this is a big part of what obviously I'm doing, and you're doing, is we're both almost in the same place of, hey, we're by ourselves, we're small business owners, and we need to navigate this completely, right? Which is how do I get customers? How do I even build a brand? How do I get my logo done, my website? Oh, yeah, exactly. Like your face, I'm gonna screen cap it. It's the perfect thing because that's what it feels like. It's like 1,000 things, and it feels very heavy. But that's, if you want to grow it, you have to just knuckle up and do it, right? So how do we get from where you were to the starting of the business? And I want to get into like the challenges of that.
Yeah. Well, I guess I had really decided I wanted to do this somewhere in the last few years. I mean, I liked the work that I did, but there was something missing there for me. Like there were days where I just didn't want to be there. I felt like really disconnected or not engaged, or just something wasn't quite right, or just depressed. I mean, maybe it's because I was single momming 3 kids for a few years. That might have had something to do with it. But I do feel like there was a creative aspect missing, I think. Um, and I had just decided at some point that I was going to I had that dream, right? But there were some other things that just sort of signaled maybe I would just like to try to like move myself in this direction and then transition when my project ends. My project was supposed to end in 2027. I think that's when we were scheduled to end. And I just decided to start doing that. But it sped up because of the cuts in foreign aid and the
Right.
restructuring of U.S. aid. And so my project was canceled in. I would say it was officially canceled in March, but I would say I knew that it would be canceled on inauguration day. Just
I
the
was gonna say
executive.
November.
Actually, it
Right.
was
Yeah.
November. I sort of had a total breakdown in November. I was like, oh my God, I think I'm going to lose my job. Um, And yeah, so yeah, I just decided that okay, this is I could have I did for a little while consider like maybe I should just apply to other jobs, maybe I should um, try to have a backup and then slowly work on this. But what I realized in all of like all those things that you listed is that I would never really create something if I was focused in multiple different directions. So it's like either I go all in on this thing and really give it my all so that I can give it the attention it needs to make it grow, or I split myself and, pardon my French, half ass it, and
Yeah,
then it
yeah.
never really takes off. And then I give my energy over here to finding a job that I don't really love because there are
Right.
really, quite honestly, there are very few jobs in foreign assistance anymore. And they're super, super, super competitive. So
Hmm.
do I want to put my attention on trying to like land a job or do I want to put my attention on growing a business? And I decided to go with growing a business. And I'll tell you the thing that's really interesting is that even though it's really scary, because it is really
Yep.
scary with the financial situation and everything, when you're going to start making money, if you're going to be able to support your
Right.
family, like I was making a good living, like a good living, I
Yeah.
wasn't rich or anything, but I had a decent
Right.
income. And so that's really scary. But I haven't found the kind of disconnect or depression, I guess, or the like the not wanting to engage because the creative aspect of it is a lot of fun, right? I enjoy that. There's a challenge there somehow. There's
Right.
something about
There's
it
a
that I
it's like
think,
a there's a reward system almost when
yeah,
I think we were talking about this where you don't have anybody. You can't be like, hey, employee 1 2 3, go do this thing. It's you and going in there and taking it. I always refer to things I get laughed at in zeros and ones, right? Because I'm a tech nerd. But there is a zero, something is not accomplished, and there is one. I took that thing, whatever it was, and I accomplished it. And in the small business growth, this is it's a very zeros and ones game. It's like, oh, we need to kick off a podcast today. All right, cool. We're gonna find the tool. We're gonna find the guest. We're gonna make sure everything's work. And then I accomplished it without like 30 people helping me. I know exactly what you're talking about. That small business reward system. Like, man, I did it. I could do anything.
yeah, it makes you feel
That
really
yeah,
empowered,
right,
totally empowered. Uh, yeah, so I think for me, like that has been maybe a surprise. I don't know. I feel surprised at how not scared I am. Maybe the other thing too is that part of the yoga teacher training was a mindset, a business mindset, money mindset, kind of a mindset sort of focus. In that it created the opportunity for you to sort of reflect on your mindset in terms of business, entrepreneurship, and
right,
reset your focus. Like you're playing the long game, right? So really it takes a while to build a business. 3 years from now is going to look a lot different than the first 3 weeks, for instance. And so I
yeah,
thought it was really helpful to get an understanding of that vision. And one of the things that my teacher asks us to do is to embody the person 3 years from now. So how do
mhm,
you envision your business to be 3 years from now? How much are you making? What does your business look like? How many clients do you have? What are you doing? And that's who you are in this moment. And that's where you play from. That was really
that's
helpful.
so awesome. Yeah, no, I can imagine, especially if you're going into this not knowing, you mentioned financially, what is this going to look like? But if you already put yourself there, your future self and your present self, then you're invincible because you know where you are. You've got customers and you've got a grown business at that point. That has to, it's almost like you should, and I'm not, well, this is your business, but you should sell this to like executives, right? Like because it's more than just I'm stretching and I'm being heart healthy. Like if it can empower you to have this invincible feeling of like healthy growth today, which is a lot of I think especially me coming from big corporate tech world, I mean they'll BS you day in and day out that they know they have a roadmap and they know what they don't, right? They're just sort of guessing. But I feel like with what you can provide, that would be something that you could just say like a getaway, and you get your top executives or your top leaders, and they do this yoga class, and it just opens up their mind more than even the physicality of it. That could be a huge thing for you, I think.
Yeah,
Anyways.
the yoga or the physicality or the health and wellness aspect of it is really the
Yeah.
way that you bring people in. But what I have discovered through my own journey is that the health and wellness aspect of it's almost as if it's kind of like a base. It's a base, right? You're like,
Right.
okay,
Yeah.
I've got this base. And then somehow you start to connect with your body and understanding
Hmm.
yourself more, which opens up things within I don't know, within your mind and sort of like just within your whole, and again, getting a little woo woo, but within your own energetic system. We all have energy and the
Right.
way we feel inside our body, but it opens things up, and uh, it allows for a level of growth,
Hmm.
and it allows you to see what you are actually capable of. There's something about and the business is part of that too, part of the journey as well. But when I
Yeah.
discovered what I was capable of physically, it gave me a level of self confidence, right? And now,
Yeah.
when you discover what you're capable of in terms of building a business, it's a whole other level of self confidence. When I building my career was part of that too, right?
Right.
So going from being a Peace Corps volunteer to where I was in January when I pivoted to doing this was a 10-year growth of learning how to facilitate
Right.
things, being confident standing up in front of people, and knowing that uh, like you said, people don't really know what they're, I mean, they don't really know nobody really knows where they're going. They're just creating things as they
Right.
go. It's the people that
Exactly.
create things are the people that are confident enough to try and not afraid to fail.
Right. And failure, this one thing, I was working with this other group, DBGEM, another, funny enough, neighbor of ours who has this amazing youth, like help youth mature, especially in the male maturity, and that it's being, it's not about being toxic or whatever. It's just like you need to have certain skills. And what I always walk in there when she's invited me to talk to these people is it's about the growth, right? Which is like you need to learn from your mistakes, the errors. So many people take an error or mistake in life and they're just like, okay, now I'm the worst. I suck. This is horrible. Instead of like what you just said, which is like you have to learn from the mistakes and the right turns when you should have took a left turn to grow yourself. Because at the end of the day, all those things get you to, well, to me, it feels like all those, failures get you to where you are today. And obviously, you don't want them all to be failures. You want some wins sprinkled in there, but you can't learn from constantly winning. It's just not possible. So I think that's a great message that you put out there as part of what you're trying to do, which is awesome.
What is interesting, so we can kind of connect it back to what I was doing in foreign aid, is I was a monitoring and evaluation professional. So I monitored the programs. I took data from the field and analyzed that data and wrote reports. And I pivoted from, well, I would almost say I pivoted. I just grew into now a learning professional. And so what I was doing in this last job was I was supporting programs to learn from their data and make decisions that would improve their programs,
Yeah.
helping people to create collaborative work environments where they're communicating with each other so that they can learn from each other, not be afraid to communicate mistakes or failures, and also share successes that can be multiplied or grown,
Yeah.
and adapting. So it was collaborating, learning, and adapting is basically what I was doing. And
Hmm.
um, I think and so basically it's taking that and then I'll putting it on a human, in their personal growth
Right.
journey. Really, it's like reflecting on yourself, reflecting on your wins and your failures, and then figuring out, okay, well now what's the next step? So how do I want to improve tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, um, and growing into whatever it is that you want to achieve in life.
Yeah, and is that so? Walk me through with find your fierce heart. Obviously,
Hmm.
like you said, it's the foundation. It's the physical. We need to get from not physical or not mental. I don't want to say mentally, but not there. It's a whole package, right? What are you talk me through what you're gonna provide, right? I know this is early stages, and we're all throwing our, like I joked around yesterday, our fishing nets to see what kind of sticks, especially in small business. But what's the dream of, let's say we talked about the 3-year future mindset in the present self. What is the 3 years? Where do you see it, or what you're providing, or where would you love for it to go?
Yeah. So, I mean, right now at this point, I'm mostly just practicing teaching yoga, which is the next step after you get your certification. Uh, in let's see, in October, I'm going to start a certification for an embodied yoga life coach
Hmm.
path. And now this is kind of where I'm more interested in being. It's really I would say the niche I'm really interested in is helping people in life transitions. Um,
Yeah.
let's just say that I've had a lot of life transitions in different aspects of my life that have been extremely challenging. And I've learned so much from all of them. Every single one of them in the moment was a tragedy. Like literally, like
Right.
I was, way down here crying on the floor.
Hmm.
And um, the thing about those moments is that, so I had a lot of people that supported me through those moments. And without those people, I think it would have been extremely difficult to make it through. And what you gain, I'd say like the fertilizer you gain from those extremely difficult life transitions is what then helps you grow the next stage into something really beautiful, right? And it's constant cycle. So in life we have many of these transitions in life. Everybody does, but they all look different for all people. It could be like, what happened in January for
Yeah.
me is you lose your job, or what happened for you last year, you lose your job. Now this becomes like,
Yeah.
uh, you know, it sucks. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, it's brutal and it
Yeah.
sucks. And there are days where you feel you have arguments with family members and you think you're never going to really be able to recover from this thing. And then
Yeah.
the days go by, and then you start to transition. And um, what I would love to provide for people is that kind of that support, almost the way a therapist does. But
Right.
talk therapy, I love my therapist and I love talking to her. But there's something about the things that have been most therapeutic in those times is when I am able to get out and move my body. Maybe it's in nature, maybe
Yeah.
it's running, maybe it's exercising, maybe it is doing yoga or meditating, but it's somehow going inside. And so I'd
Mm.
love to be able to help people go inside during those times
Yeah.
and really mine the gold
Hmm.
that's coming from the pain.
Yeah, we're talking, and this is again not political or not a statement, but we're talking about, you mentioned COVID earlier and how it impacted your career. And I remember during COVID, nobody was talking about exercise, right? And that was crazy to me. And especially at the place that I was working at, everybody was talking about, okay, we're going to work from home and we're going to be, this. And it's all the corporate mindset. And I'm out there putting videos on the Slack, corporate messaging thing of me outside walking and jogging and running and trying to lose all this weight. I lost like a ton of weight during COVID. It lined up also with my dad. My dad, wow, my Freudian there. My doctor was like, hey man, you're gonna die. So I was inspired another way from it. But at the end of the day, I felt like the more I was like focused on my mind, I mean on my body, it was improving my mind, my clarity, how I was, interacting with peers and customers, and just I totally, you talk about woo. I am bought in with what you're saying, because at the end of the day, if the temple is falling apart, the part where you need to engage and interact, that's not going to be much healthier either ways. You might be snapping at people or for no reason, right? Just I am rotting is an exaggeration, but I am, there's something wrong in here that it becomes outward. And I think a lot of people are missing that. And if you could provide that to people at any step of their, if it's just a person looking to get healthier, or if it's somebody to escape the insanity of, we have these storms in our heads of a million tasks and things, or
Yeah.
even like I said earlier, a businessman or a mentor or anybody. That I think that is a game changer for a lot of people. And that's why I truly wanted to talk to you, outside of your journey in life. I think what you have to offer is going to be so big because, look, we live in a very rural part of Georgia where that's not really the priority here. And there should be more people like you. And I love that you're doing this. I feel like you're helping, and we're missing that.
Yeah, I don't know how many people I can get to, come and be a part of that. But I
Yeah.
mean, really, honestly, if you can just, help a few people get more in touch with their body and, become healthier human beings, then I
Yeah.
think it benefits.
Yeah.
It
Well, and
benefits the future and the rest of the world.
right, and it goes back to what we were talking about for like a reward system. I think yesterday when we were talking, I was mentioning that I helped one person out with they needed some type of design situation, and it was something that I could have done in like 10 that anybody could have done in 10 seconds, but then people were vulturing and trying to price gouge. And when I accomplished that thing, I was like, oh my God, I understand helping why I do this, which is helping people, and the fact that you understand that this is kind of where the world's brought you, and this is big. There is a every time you get one person, two people, it's going to be a huge inner reward, and hopefully a financial reward as well, because that's the perfect world.
Yeah, I've thought a lot about that too. I kind of really I kind of gave you my journey, but I got really healthy and really into exercising and monitoring what I put in my body. Maybe it was like right before I went to Zambia, actually, my second time. And so that has been a part of my life now since that time. And when I say like incorporating vegetables at every meal and fruits and, staying away, minimizing the amount of processed foods that come into my body and this kind of right, and that translates into how my children eat now, right?
Right.
So and I even think that it translates into their behavior and how they are in
Absolutely.
school and the way that they can focus and what they can do. And oh man, if we can just get more people to understand that what you put into your mouth feeds
Yeah.
your body, which then feeds your brain, which then creates like a whole like ripples into the
Yeah.
future. It's so
No, it
crazy.
does. It sounds, it's not about a judgment thing, and I get it. Everybody has their own parenting style, but even for me growing up, it was funny. We were poor Hispanic people, and my parents didn't speak English, and everything was like Coke and meat, and no, there was no green. Right when I first met my wife, and she's like, "This is broccoli." I'm like, "Well, that's a new color. I don't know what that is because everything I eat is a starch, and it's either rice or a bean, right?" And when I met her, and she loves to cook, it's one of her passions. It's always vegetable heavy and using lentils and using, every single type of green. And I could feel in that first year of meeting her, my body changing, in the sense of, there's a little bit of weight loss, but the neurons start firing different, right? And when again in 2020 when I lost all that weight and I really was watching my mouth, alcohol was a problem, and it's just like you're trying to drown your life stressors with this thing. You get rid of that, and you could feel the change, physically and mentally.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
and that plays such a huge role. So, no, if you can incorporate that, as part of your teachings, right, which is not just the physicality, but what you put, the mantra of what you're putting in your temple, I think that could be a game changer too for you.
Yeah, I would just love for every just love for everybody to be able to live a full, healthy, whole life. And even just like with the connections that you make with other people too, there's just oh man, there's just so much. As much as I can do that. And in a way, it ties back into what I was doing before. I again loved my work overseas and I loved helping people in the foreign assistance there. But ultimately, I do feel that that system of helping people is not a sustainable way to help
Yeah.
people. I felt that when I was there, and it definitely needed changing. Hopefully, what's happening right now will now restructure it in some way that will be helpful. But now, like my mission at this point here is to not is to come over here in this side in my culture and in this place
Right.
where bit by bit people can start to open up and understand the interconnectivity of our world and ourselves and how we are with all of the people around us. And it starts with connecting with yourself. When you're connected with yourself, when you're well connected inside, now you're comfortable here. Now you can open your eyes and start to look at other people and see how your behavior affects that person, what that feedback loop is, the decisions you make, and how that goes into the future or affects your children, or even affects the person that you chat with at the grocery store. I mean, it's so interesting. I've also, some of the other things that I've studied as I've done this have been Buddhist teachings and interdependence. And when you're a happier, healthier human, you interact with people in a happier, healthier way. You come at them with a smile, and maybe you brighten their day, and then the next thing they do is brighten the day of the next person, or they even change something. You say something, and they change one little action, and it ripples out into the world. And it's so hard to see that you can't quantify those effects.
Right.
You just can't. It's impossible. But the
For
more
sure.
people that are able to live from that space, it will benefit people in other countries because we'll be
Yeah.
making decisions from a place of healthy, open love. Really, I mean, that sounds really hippie, but so
No.
I don't want to like minimize like the fact that the world is not always love and peace. It
For
isn't
sure.
always, but
Well,
making
and
decisions.
yeah, and the fact that you are taking a stance and you are trying to put that out into the world, it's big and it needs to be highlighted, and we need to get you out there and do, your message and what you're trying to accomplish is one that, I mean, you joke about love. It is full of love and it's full of heart. And yes, obviously, small business owner, and you want to grow, duh, right? We all do. But the intention, it's not from manipulation or control, or at least the where the arrow has been shot in the right direction and at the right bullseye versus harm and greed. It's coming out of love, and if you could benefit from that love and the teachings and how you're helping human beings, then win-win for everybody at that point, right?
Yeah. Yep. Uh, Inshallah, that's something I learned in Morocco.
And so tell me about inshallah, because I need mantras. I love mantras.
It's actually Arabic.
Okay.
It means God willing, inshallah.
Okay.
So,
I love that.
when you make a wish for something that you want to happen, or you say, oh, they'll say it for anything, like, oh, I'll see you this evening, and you're like, inshallah, God willing, you show up here, and nothing
Great.
crazy happens to you.
I'm gonna be walking around the house tonight saying that my kids are like, "Daddy's got issues. I don't know what happened talking to Miss Jenny. Like, he's weird now."
It is such a perfect phrase for yeah. Anyway, I picked that up when I was living over there, and
No, I think it's good. It's like setting you. It's like trying to help you set you up for success, right? With a good wish, which is nice. Um, we've been at this for a bit. I don't want to monopolize your whole day, but I want to just get one thing out of you, which
yeah.
is the customers that you're looking for, right? Obviously, like again, back to a business. I assume, is it for just adults? Is it families? Is it kids? Is it a one-to-one session? Talk to me about the actual what you want to sell. Obviously, this is again a business, but what's the what's the what is it, the persona, the person that you want to engage with to try to help?
Yeah, I've been kind of like wrestling with this and trying to understand, what that looks like exactly. I'm not, I kids, I think I'm not really necessarily looking at like, at that level. I think for me, it's going to be more of, parents. So when you're talking about families, I would think
Yeah.
more parents. I'm still trying to decide if I want it to be more, woman focused. I
Hmm.
think I struggle with that because I think men need this. I
Yeah.
think I think men need this, and I think that they will shy away from it.
Yeah.
Um, and But obviously I'm a woman, and I'm much the experience of being a woman. I can speak to that. Um, so I would say right now at this point, I am likely going to be offering workshops, um, retreats. I'm looking at offering a retreat in Hawaii in December that are going to um, be for people of parenting age.
Hmm.
Probably more focused on women because I think that's probably who's going to be more attracted to what I have to offer. But
Right.
I would like to stay open to men being a part of it because I think it's a perspective that I don't want to lose.
Yeah.
Um, and creating the environment or opportunity for people to look at their lives and reflect on what's happening in their lives. So there will be the health and wellness aspect. So I definitely will offer yoga as a part of everything that I offer. So
Hmm.
yoga and meditation are the base, right? So that's the base. One-on-ones would be depending on what people really want to focus on in terms of what are their goals and what is it that they want to achieve through the sessions. But I am looking at how challenges and life transitions can be turned into something that fertilizes self growth. So, anybody who's having any type of health, wellness challenge or even personal challenge, I think I would be well placed to help that person to look at that, reflect on it, and incorporate movement and wellness aspects into achieving whatever goal or overcoming whatever challenge it is that they have.
And then
Um,
and it's virtual right now for the most part, right?
right
Or
now it's virtual. I do have a space here in my house where I can meet people and I can have small classes, yoga classes, which I'll probably be doing through the summer and maybe into next year just to see if there is interest in people coming here and doing that. But most of it will be virtual. And I am looking at the possibility of having a membership that makes it easier for people to access yoga classes
Mhm.
or workshops so that they can do it on their own time. So,
That's
like
awesome.
a small monthly fee, and then you can access all the yoga classes that have been recorded and are available. Um, and also potentially get discounts on one-on-one sessions and retreats. Um, so, yeah,
No, that'll be good.
yeah, for me, it's going to be probably people in their 30s, 40s, maybe late 20s
No, that's
with
awesome. And then you know, anything that you put out there, we'll definitely promote through our different channels. I think what you're doing, it's more than look. I don't. You're not advertising for me. You're not. I don't make money off of you in any which way. I believe in your message, and I want to promote that as much as possible. I think this is what, like, you know, I know you joke around about the woohoo. I know my version of woohoo is corny, but I genuinely feel that what you're trying to accomplish is a lot better than what a lot of these other people out here are trying to do. So I applaud you for that.
yeah, and I would love like if anybody is just wants to talk to me, wants like a a short free session, just so that I can get a better understanding of what the needs are for people, what it is that people would like to, because that's sort of where I am right now is just getting that understanding of what the needs are around me here, so that I can create something that's going to help people to achieve that. Like I have my own thoughts about what I would love to help people with, but at the same time, people have their own problems, and I want to know
Yeah.
what those are. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's all about. I love that you're so analytical and you're bringing that analytical brain to it, which I think sometimes you hear about the woo-ness, but the fact that you have that from your background, the analytical side, it's like you have to do discovery. You have to understand what the market wants. And yes, obviously the market is people here, but still, if you're constantly throwing it out there and nothing's sticking, you're not gonna succeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to offer people what they want, and I have a
Yeah.
lot to give. I definitely have been through many things, and I have a lot to share and give. And anybody who I work with, I'm telling you, I'll put my entire heart and soul into. However, it is that we can help them achieve what they need. Like that's what I want to create.
I don't doubt that for a second. Um, uh, so, how can people get a hold of you? What are your website? I mean, socials, anything? I want to make sure that we put that out there and people have that.
So socials, find your fierce heart. on all the socials. So Facebook, um, Instagram, and YouTube right now. I My website is findyourfierceheart.com. So it's pretty easy. Didn't make it like, super difficult for people to find.
Yeah,
So
I was talking to
you can
somebody
find me.
yesterday, and they had a website with like 60 or 70 characters. Like, good luck with the typos on that one.
So just type in findyourfierceheart.com. You will find me there. There's a contact form there. Um, and, people can reach me at namaste at findyourfierceheart.com.
That's awesome.
Um, Namaste is a yoga word. So that
Mm.
means, I see the light in you. I acknowledge the light in you. And yeah, all of those ways of getting in touch with me, and I will get back very quickly.
I love it. Well, Jenny, thank you so much. This has been super awesome. I love that you're my first guest. I promised you, was it the last snowstorm, that I needed to get you on a podcast. I just didn't know it was going to be this podcast. I thought it was going to be the other one that I was trying to launch. And I'm glad. Nothing makes me happier to like that. Back to me and my OCD of zeros and one. I feel like I got a one on this one of making this happen, and it couldn't have been with a better person who's really trying to get something healthy and mindful out there for people. And I applaud you for that. I think that is so what the world needs now, Jenny. Keep doing you, and it will grow.
Thank you, Gus. And I really appreciate you taking the time to invite me to come here and do this. I love that the way that we connected was through a snowstorm in,
It's
you
so
know,
random.
Georgia, where like you made this comment when we were in the snowstorm. You're like, you never see these people. They're like vampires. And then it snows and everybody's out in the street and you finally get to talk to people.
I know it's so weird being like mentally about talking in charisma and community here. Like, oh wait, that's a neighbor. Cool. I didn't know you existed. It's so crazy.